let me explain how a center pivot works. And as stated, you know, there's a pivot point in the middle of the field over there. This one is what we call a windshield wiper pivot because it doesn't go in a complete circle. It only goes about 160 or 170 degrees. And it's this pivot is 1,120 feet long, and it's pumping a lot of water through. Now there are little downspouts here, and as you can see, I can actually turn this one off and show you guys real quick. Oh, and you get wet doing that. So this downspout here, as the water is pressurized and pumped through a pump, so it takes about 40 to 50 psi to run this. And this downspout sprays the water out in a symmetrical pattern, but if you look at that little spindle there, it is rotating in an asymmetrical fashion. And the reason why it's asymmetrical is you don't want everything to be regular. What you want is that water to come down and spatter and hit the ground and penetrate into the ground. You don't want a mist that will, you know, if the wind picks up, the mist will blow it away, right? So then there's a power line that goes all the way down through the pivot, and it runs this little motor down here, and then it moves the pivot, and it's synchronized so that this one goes further than that one, which goes further than that one, and on down to the one at the base, closest to the base of the pivot. And it goes, of course, a lot slower than these other two, or these other 5 towers. So, and you can see the hay right in front of us. This is a grass-alfalfa mix, and this is, really a lot of orchard grass mixed with alfalfa. And you see the alfalfa leaves right here, and see how nice and vibrant they are. And this is a really good stand of hay. It's just starting to seed out, and then you'll get pollen on those seed heads. And the alfalfa is not yet blooming, and there's kind of a rule with alfalfa that you want to cut 10 days after first flower. Well, it's not flowering yet, but we have a really nice, thick, lush stand of hay, and it's producing very well. Now, one thing that we do that is different than most of the farmers and ranchers around here, there are a lot of center pivots. In fact, you can see my neighbor's pivot right over there. There are quite a few center pivots in this part of the world, and they're an efficient way of irrigating because if you have folds in your terrain, all the water goes on top of the ground where the crop is growing. It's not like if you're using ditches or gated pipe or something like that, to where all the water goes in the valleys and it's really hard to get it on the ridges. No, you can get your water everywhere with a pivot like this, and it's a really even method of applying the water. The thing that we do that's different is we inject the fertilizer right into the pivot, so that fertilizer is going right down with the water as the water is applied to the property. And it's an incredibly effective way of fertilizing, and it makes, you know, if you spread out dry pelletized ammonium nitrate, for example, and the wind picks up, and you don't have water that first week or two of the season, you may have all your fertilizer blown all across the ground and never penetrate. You may never get the benefit of that fertilizer at all. So this is a much more efficient way of irrigating. Now, I'm going to go turn this sprayer back on, and it just shows you how much water is coming out of these. What the goal is here, the goal is to get about, with each pass, about an inch of water applied to the ground. And we can feel the ground beneath our feet right here, and it is actually soft. And we have a push rod and to to check the irrigation, you know, how efficient it is, and you can push that rod down into the ground, and if you've got saturation about that deep, then it's good, okay? But we try to put down about 1 inch every time we run the pivot back and forth across the property. So the natural precipitation over a year in this area is about probably 16 to 18 inches. And that's snowfall over the year, it is rain, whatever comes out of the sky over the course of a year. In order to grow a crop like this, we need about 36 inches of water every year. So we need another 18 inches a year on top of what nature gives us, okay? So that's why what we're doing here is we're putting down about an inch at a time. So does that mean that over the course of the irrigating season, which basically begins about May 1st and goes through about, as late as, you know, end of September, does that mean 18 passes? Yeah, it does. So, and we'll get at least 3 cuttings of hay. We might get 4 cuttings of hay this year. Most people around here only get 2 at most, sometimes 3. But this fertilizer is so efficient, and the way that we're applying the fertilizer is it accelerates the growing season. It accelerates how fast the hay is ready to cut. And that means we might get 4 cuttings of hay.